Hey guys, thanks for joining me. Last week I told you that I quit my job and started composing full-time for the first time, and I wanted to give you guys an update about how it's been going for the first week. First of all, my mood has improved drastically. I have better focus, clarity when I wake up in the morning. I wake up and I know exactly what I want to do for the day. I don't have to turn off the creative switch, as I would call it. If you go to work at a full-time job, you have to kind of turn your brain off for those 8 hours and not really think about the things that you want to think about, especially if you're in the middle of a project. That's like the biggest thing. If you are thinking about the project like constantly, you're constantly like coming up with ideas. Going to a job for 8 hours and doing anything but is agonizing. So all of this has been a lot better. I've been able to wake up in the morning and immediately get to work on the things that I want to be working on. There's no more getting burnt out throughout the day, and then by the time you get home, you don't feel like doing anything, or your creative juices are completely gone. You can just get up and start going. I've definitely been happier. I mean, that's a given, right? I mean, even though every job has its own stresses, and composing definitely has its stresses, but they're good stresses, right? So some of the things that I've been doing this week, for one, I've been finishing up cues for the horror film that I've been working on, The Wild Man. I've also been sending samples back and forth with producers for this children's show that I might be working on. I started, and this is embarrassing actually that I haven't done this yet, but I started registering all of my works with BMI so I can start getting royalties and I can protect my copyrights for all my works. Because I have a lot of music on Spotify, I have a lot of music on YouTube, and a lot of places around the internet. I wrote my first library track and got that submitted. I believe that I named it Uplifting and Motivational Music 1. It's pretty awful, to be honest. I updated my composer template, which I desperately have been needing to do for a few months now, but never had the time to do it because I've been kind of jumping from one project to the next with no real preparation time. So now if I get a new project, all I have to do is make, some small modifications to it, and then I'm pretty much good to go. Another thing is I started cold emailing some production companies. If you sign up for IMDb Pro, I believe it's like $20 a month. I've been signed up for a long time, but I haven't really utilized it to this extent until now. It gives you access to emails, phone numbers of all these production companies. And that's something that actually takes a lot of your time and that you really have to be in the right headspace to just kind of sit down and do it. You can't just copy and paste emails from one to the other, right? You have to kind of like personalize them. You have to do your research. You have to see what films these producers have that are in production, or preferably pre-production. That way it doesn't just sound like you could have sent that to anybody, right? You want to be personable and you want it to sound personalized. Some of the biggest things that I've learned so far is you need to keep your schedule flexible, okay? Don't plan your day out hour by hour. When I first started doing this, I thought that I was going to need to have a planner and make sure that I knew what I was going to be doing every single hour. You need to maintain some semblance of flexibility. So if a cue is taking longer than expected, you need to be able to have the flexibility to spend all day on that if you need to, if it's a really important cue, right? Also, as composers, our time management relies on other people sometimes, right? So if we're waiting for a edit to come in from a director or producer, we can't just sit around and wait for that all day, right? We have to be able to be proactive and work on something else until you get that. Or if you're submitting samples back and forth between these producers and you're getting feedback on them, you need to wait for them to actually get back to you in order for you to move on. Also, you won't always be able to work on what you want to work on. I mean, the dream is to basically wake up in the morning, grab some coffee, start composing, right? And then compose until evening hours and then, chill and go to bed, right? But it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes that means blocking out 4 hours to export out stems for the audio mixer. Sometimes that means having to backtrack and redo something that you've already done because, they want to change at the last minute. Also, it's important to learn that sometimes you need to be able to flip the switch if you're dealing with multiple projects. For instance, right now I'm doing a horror movie, but I'm also making samples for this hip-hop children's show. And sometimes I need to be able to flip the switch multiple times in a day, go back and forth between writing this super intense cue like this, to writing something like this. And you can't always wait to have the inspiration to write horror music, and you can't always wait for the inspiration to write like hip-hop music. You have to be able to just go when it's needed of you. One of the questions that I found myself asking myself this week was, what do I do on the weekend? Do I take a day off? I mean, usually when I would take days off from work, I would be doing this. This would be my day off. So what does a day off look like when your full-time job is composing? And what I found out is, yes, it's important for you to take a day off to be able to recharge, but keep yourself available. That means it might be a Saturday and you're hanging out, you go to the beach, whatever. But if you get, an email from a producer, you get a call from a producer asking you, hey, we need, this export by 7 o'clock, or hey, can you change a couple things around before we do this or that? You have to keep yourself available to be able to do that. So all in all, my first week was great. I feel like I am focused. I feel like I am investing in my future. I won't lie to you guys. The amount of money that I made this week is... But I've been doing things that will set me up for jobs in the future and also finishing up things that I need to do. So that's the thing with music, right? You don't get a weekly paycheck, right? You don't get a paycheck at the end of the week that says, here, this is what your time and your work has been worth. You have to stay motivated that you're setting yourself up for that payday and you're setting yourself up for that paycheck because it's not going to come as regularly as you're used to. Alright guys, thank you for watching. As always, this is not meant to be an instructional or tutorial series. I'm basically just telling you guys what I learned throughout the week as I learn it. 3 videos from now, I could be like, man, I was totally wrong. But that's the point. I wanted to give you guys a real account of what it's like to quit your job and start composing full-time for the first time. Alrighty guys, please help me monetize my videos by liking and subscribing. That's the only way that YouTubers make money. One of the biggest things about doing music full-time is that you need to have multiple sources of income, and YouTube is a big chunk of that income, or it could be. So do the thing, unless you hated it, that's cool too. Alrighty guys, see you next time.